So, Berto, the Oscars are coming up, and I I sent out that survey to all the patrons, and there's a minority of people, like 5% of people, who said something to the effect of they don't like the movie episodes, they skip over the movie episodes.
Right.
But then, and we've been talking about that. I've been talking on the podcast about how, you know what, I've heard the listeners. I'm going to stop making episodes dedicated to movies. And then I got a flood of emails from a bunch of people saying, no. I love this. My favorite episodes. And then even some people are saying, I was one of those people who said I didn't like the movie episodes, but I want to tell you, I don't want you to stop doing them.
Interesting.
I just don't, for some of them, appreciate them, but
Right.
I'm sure there are other people who like. I don't want to ruin other people's fun.
And I guess since there are so many episodes that we have and are constantly coming out, it's not like that's the one for the month,
Right. So let's bother those 5% of people.
Let's totally bother.
And talk about the Oscars of 2019. This is the Psychology in Seattle podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Kirk Honda. I'm a therapist and a professor, and my favorite movie is A Clockwork Orange, which I recently read the book for the first time and found the book to be extremely similar to the movie, but different in some very key ways. Who are you, Berto?
Interesting. My name is Humberto Castañeda. I build two-legged stools, and my favorite movie is probably still American Psycho.
Interesting facts about Oscars 2019. Do you know, like firsts and other kinds of things? Do you know anything?
Oh, firsts? Let's see. No, I don't know anything.
So, first Best Pick nomination for Netflix.
For Netflix.
With Roma.
Right.
Yeah.
And actually, isn't that also, because it's a foreign language film, isn't it also not nominated in the foreign language category, and that's sort of a...
No, it's nominated in foreign language.
Oh, it is. But isn't it also nominated in the main category?
Yeah, Best Picture.
Oh, okay. So it can be both.
Yeah.
Okay.
First Oscar nomination for Hulu, a documentary called Minding the Gap.
What?
Which I've heard good reviews of. I haven't watched it yet.
So both Netflix and Hulu.
Do you have Hulu?
I do, yeah.
First Hispanic woman nominated for Best Picture, producer Gabriela Rodriguez for Roma.
Wow.
First woman producer nominated for Best Picture. I find that one to be
incredible,
and not shocking, but also shocking.
Yeah.
First, I mean, we're talking, almost 100 years.
Wait, first female Hispanic producer.
Oh, okay. First Hispanic.
Yeah, because what's her name?
Catherine Kennedy. Catherine Kennedy. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Well, first Hispanic woman. First Indigenous woman nominated in a major category.
Is that for Roma?
Yeah, Yalitza. Yeah. Aparicio. Aparicio. I don't know.
That's not a Hispanic name, so.
Yalitza. Is that a Hispanic name?
No. That must be a native name.
The first person nominated for Best Cinematography and Best Director, Alfonso Cuarón.
Wait, didn't they nominate all sorts of natives in the 50s when they were doing all those cowboy movies?
Not for a major category.
No, I'm kidding.
Oh.
A lot of them were white guys,
Oh, yeah. First black woman nominated for Best Production Design for Black Panther, Hannah Beachler.
Oh, wait, Black Panther was last year?
Yeah. Yeah, it was like March or something.
Oh, is that nominated?
Yes.
Not for Best Picture.
Yes, it is.
It is?
First, and for Best Production Design.
I mean, it's a good hero movie. But...
Yeah, well, we'll get into that.
Okay.
First person nominated in lead acting and original song, Lady Gaga.
Right. I haven't seen that one yet. Darn it.
Well, so every year we have an Oscar party.
Yeah, I gotta watch it.
And you gotta watch all the movies.
Yeah. Well, this year though, this year I'm ahead of the ball game because normally we get to like around this time, and I'm cramming because I've seen 0. Yeah. This year I realized I've seen I think 4 of them.
Okay. Well, but there's other categories.
Oh no, of the best picture Yeah,
at least get that. First superhero film to be nominated for Best Picture, Black Panther. And I was trying to think of past snubs of superhero movies that could have been nominated for Best Picture.
Logan, for example.
Good. That's what I came up with that one. Any others that you can think of?
I mean, I would say Dark. What's the first?
Well, Batman Begins.
Yeah.
And then Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Well,
probably Dark Knight.
Yeah, Dark Knight was way better than Batman Begins. Any other ones you can think of?
Let's see. Superhero. Well, I mean, this is super controversial, but I really liked Watchmen. I don't know that I would have nominated it, but
yeah, I loved Watchmen 2009. I still every 3 or 4 years I
pop it in,
watch it, and I'll even watch the featurettes because they made a bunch of little like mini documentaries in that world.
Right. No, I love that. Yeah. But I guess other than that, I mean, historically, not that it would stand up, but Superman, the original.
Totally. That was a blockbuster, a huge movie. Everyone loved it. Watching it today, you're like, okay, here are my movies because when you think about other movies that are nominated, and we'll get into that, it's like I consider these movies to be better, but because they're hero movies, they're like, comedies are similar. That it's a similar thing. Guardians.
Oh yeah, Guardians. Duh.
Yeah. Deadpool. The Incredibles, the first one.
Oh yeah, that counts. That should count.
The Wonder Woman. Unbreakable.
Unbreakable should countish, yeah.
Especially because of the tone.
Yeah.
And it has a big star.
Sure.
And at the time, M. Night was still loved.
Yeah.
So that could have been, nominated. Kick-Ass, which probably would never get nominated, but I don't know. I liked it. And Ang Lee, Hulk, love it. Of course, everyone else hates it.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. We've talked about this. I would, even though I liked it, I wouldn't have put it for Best Picture.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse this past year.
Was that this year?
Animated. That's nominated for animated.
Oh, okay.
But not for Best Picture.
That was really good, man.
Right. To me, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse should have been in Best Picture, Best Director. That should be the movie everyone's talking about.
I saw that twice, and both times I was just like, whoa.
Yeah. It's so good. The story, the style, the art, the artistry. It was really good.
And I wasn't even going to see it. I mean, or I probably was at some point, but I went on a lark, and then I loved it so much that I went and saw it again.
Lego Batman movie. I consider Lego Batman.
That was really good.
I consider it to be one of the funniest movies that's ever been made.
Yeah, that was an amazingly funny and great, very well done movie.
It has gag after gag.
It does.
And it gets into some interesting topics.
Yeah.
Of gender.
Totally.
Of toxic masculinity, if you will. Hellboy, I thought could have been nominated.
Wait, Hellboy?
By the first Hellboy.
I forgot we're talking still about old. Yeah. I'm like, that didn't come out last year.
Megamind, which of course probably doesn't qualify as an Oscar, but every once in a while I'll pop in Megamind.
What's that one? I never saw that.
It is about this. There's this Superman kind of character who's good, and Megamind is this evil genius.
Is this cartoon or is it?
Yeah, it's a cartoon.
Okay.
And I think it's a brilliant movie. It's really funny. And Mystery Men, I thought that was really good too.
Interesting.
Anyway, most nominations this year, which movie, Berto?
Most nominations, probably Roma.
And another movie.
Oh, really? Tied?
Yeah.
I don't know.
The Favourite.
Wait, there's a favorite that's not Roma?
The Favourite.
Oh, it's called The Favourite.
That was a time when the way you responded, I was like, for a split second, I was like, oh, he's being funny.
No,
and then I was like, but the look on your face, I was like, normally he has a, yeah. So
I forgot, and now I know which movie you're talking about. I'm like, okay, but which is The Favourite?
Well, so actually, I had a split second where I was like, my God, Berto is good, because he came up with that so fast.
Yeah, that's too fast.
So yeah, Roma, have you seen The Favourite?
No. We talked about it a little bit, but I have not seen it.
Yeah, both 10 nominations. Do you know the record number of nominations in the past?
12.
14.
14 for Amadeus.
No.
No, it's Schindler's List. No,
these are good guesses. There's two movies that are kind of obvious. Like, I think we talked about
Saving
before.
Private Ryan.
It's a good guess. There was one movie from 2 years ago.
It wasn't Titanic, though.
Yes, Titanic.
Oh, no!
Yeah.
No!
Yeah. I mean, it had, costume,
Oh my God,
movie,
yeah.
director.
No, I remember
special
now.
effects,
I remember. Now listen,
score,
I actually
song. It had
Right,
Celine
right.
Dion. I mean, it had everything.
No, and I gotta come clean here. Like when I saw Titanic, I liked the movie. I only now recoil because of the ridiculous overreaction to the movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah.
It's not amazing.
No.
But it's a good movie.
That's good.
And La La Land.
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
No. How many did it get?
14.
Oh my God.
Right, because you're talking movie, director, actor,
City of
actress,
Lights.
song, score.
Oh, those songs are so memorable. Which is your favorite
Cinematography.
still? Which one do you still pop in every day in the morning to sing in the shower?
And then back in
can't select.
1950, All About Eve. They all have 14 nominations. How many nominations has Spike Lee had prior to this year? Because he was nominated for BlacKkKlansman director.
Oh. He's had 4 nominations.
For what, do you think?
Oh geez, I don't remember.
Like for director?
for director.
Nope, never been director.
Never been.
40 films, almost 40 films.
Oh my God.
This is his first director
What?
nomination, yeah.
That's amazing.
And he got I think he might have won best original screenplay for Do the Right Thing.
Okay.
Which totally deserved it.
Yeah.
He could have got a best director for that too, though.
That's incredible.
Because that movie is like precisely directed.
Yeah.
That has a director's hand all over that movie.
Right.
He also got a documentary for best documentary feature in 1998 with 4 Little Girls.
Huh.
But yeah, this is his first nomination. But so I looked back through like you, I'm like, well, there's so many movies he should have been nominated for. But when I actually looked back at the movies that he's made in the year that they were made, it kind of makes sense. Like Malcolm X could have been nominated for best director.
Right.
But that movie isn't amazing. It's good. I liked it, but and then Summer of Sam is the other movie that I thought could have been.
I really like that.
Yeah, it was a good movie. But when we look into the movies that were nominated, I don't know, it kind of makes some sense.
Sure. Interesting.
And honestly, BlacKkKlansman, I think, is my favorite Spike Lee movie that he's ever made, which is weird to me because I've grown up with loving so many of his movies, but I found BlacKkKlansman to be extremely moving. Like,
interesting.
Like it was interesting because the main storyline was kind of humdrum and funny at times and interesting at times. It was these segments that he would go into where there would be, a black man giving a speech, and then they show all those faces in the audience. Have you seen the movie?
Yeah.
Or and when Harry Belafonte is talking to all the people, and I'm getting chills just thinking about it because it takes a masterful director like Spike Lee and to be able to light a situation like that well, to costume people, to give people authentic hairdos and authentic looking outfits and authentic seeming the way they hold themselves. It's both proud and heroic and fighting back. And these are the people that we stand on. We stand on the shoulders of giants. These people did something and put themselves out there. And it's so inspirational. And then at the end, which a lot of people didn't like, Spike Lee throws us into Charlottesville and all these, very extreme images of today. I was profoundly moved when I watched it.
So I did enjoy that movie, but I had an issue with it because the book lays out what I think is even worse. So what happens is that in the book, the bad guys, the KKK, the real people that this was based on, they're way more subtle with their hatred and what they're trying to do.
In the book?
In the book, which is unfortunately the reality, is that the overt over the top. Because see, in the movie, it's so easy to look at those bad guys and be like, oh, they're clearly the bad guys.
Well, so there are 3 main bad guys. You have 4 really. You have David Duke.
But they show them as these kind of bumbling, over the top.
I think it depends on what you focus on. The most sadistic racist, who incidentally I think is played by a European guy, if I'm not mistaken. it's funny how like non-Americans can nail American racists. But he was ridiculous. And then the dumbass guy from I, Tonya fame was ridiculous. But the other guy, the guy with the glasses, was much more subtle.
And I loved, what's his name, Topher Grace's performance.
Right. So and David Duke's character was also, I felt, a even apologetic view of probably what David Duke was actually like. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's certainly.
Yeah. So I get those. Yeah. So to me is with BlacKkKlansman, if half of people who watch it say not for me, or I didn't like this, or what the hell was that, or that was goofy, like I totally get it.
Sure.
Like I don't walk away from that movie going like flawless movie.
And everyone's going to love it exactly the same.
Right. Like when I see Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2, I go, unless you have a sensitivity to gross out humor, I don't see how you could not. That's not a good example. When I see Into the Spider-Verse, that's a better example. Sure. If you don't like that movie, I don't know what's wrong with you.
There's something a little wrong.
I really don't know like what's wrong with your head that you can't at least walk away and go like, well, that was a good use of my time. That was that was entertaining. Or the Lego Batman movie. I don't get why now.
But this one is a lot more great.
Totally get it. Yeah. Did you know that they tried to introduce a new award this year called Best Popular Film?
No, I did not know that.
Which I kind of like the idea of it. I'm sure it will get a lot of hate, but they actually got rid of it because it got a lot of backlash.
I can imagine.
Because essentially what they were trying to do was address the issue that the big popular films never get nominated, like Avengers and this kind of thing. Right. And given that the Avengers and all those other movies are such a huge part of the movie culture and of Hollywood, there should be a place for them to at least be part of the conversation of the Oscars. Right. Because when we look at Oscar-type movies, you know, Call Me by Your Name, which I loved, The Favourite, which I loved, those are different experiences than, say, the Avengers, which I thought, or Black Panther, you know.
And like they don't have a comedy category.
Right.
And think of how many movies throughout the ages were amazingly funny, memorable, all these things, never would have gotten nominated.
Right. Knocked Up, 40-Year-Old Virgin, or Deadpool you could consider a comedy. Right, exactly. Okay, so Best Picture nominations, Black Panther. I put out of 10, what would you give Black Panther?
I think I was down to a 7 with it.
Right. I think I
might have gone down to a 6, but at least a 7.
Yeah. So we did a whole episode on this movie, I believe, or talked about
we did. Well, we definitely talked about it
back when we were still annoying people with more movie episodes. And you and I had the same reaction, which was, why do people like this movie so much?
Right.
And my hypothesis, I don't know if I stated it, out loud, was that the cultural importance of this movie is significant, and we agreed
totally
that back in the day, they'd be, black people would be like, how come you don't have more movies focused on black people? Right. How come you don't have, superhero movies that focus on black people? The Hollywood would say, well, there's no market for it.
Right.
No one wants that. It's too specific. We have to appeal to the market. This is capitalism. We're talking about market forces here. We're not, Hollywood producers, we're not like a charity.
Right.
We're not social justice, and black people are like, I think you're wrong. I think people are wanting black figures. Well, I don't think anyone knew how right these proponents were. When Black Panther came out, it was gigantic.
Right.
And the pressure that I think had built up for everyone of any color in the United States was such that it was such a welcomed breath of fresh air.
Right.
And all the Captain America and the Thors and the Iron Man and the Hulks and the Wonder Womans and Wonder Woman's an exception because that's actually a different phenomenon of women, the pressure of wanting a woman character.
Well, think about like how many Batmans and Supermans we've had, never a Wonder Woman, right?
Right, yeah.
On a movie, I say.
Right. So I thought that it was, the enthusiasm was encouraged by all that, but just as a standalone movie, like out of the context of our society, Now, having said that, BlacKkKlansman, I watched that movie in the context of our society. Like, I don't just watch, like, if I just watch that movie as like alone out of context, then yeah, it's not that great. But in the context of
that's fair.
Situation. So I could see how some people would latch on. But to me, when I watched Black Panther, it didn't resonate as much as
Certainly
applying to racism as in the United States and the heroism of oppressed people as much as BlacKkKlansman did. Having said that, I put Black Panther in my top 10 of 2018 out of, I don't know, 80 movies that I saw last year. So I really liked it. I thought it was really good. But partially because 2018, in my opinion,
wasn't so good.
was not a very good year for movies.
I think I probably agree with that. I saw, because Mother was not last year, right? No.
Yeah, it was 2 years ago.
So when I saw Black Panther, it was with my friend Mitch. You know Mitch, our friend Mitch. And both of us had the same feeling. We walked out, because we'd heard all the hype, and we walked out, we're like, what's the deal? So for me, I would not nominate it for Best Picture, but I can certainly appreciate it. And I'm not hating it that it is. I'm just like not super stoked.
Well, we'll get into snubs in a bit, in terms of what could have been and that wasn't. I don't think it's going to win the Best Picture award. It could, but I doubt it.
Better not.
BlacKkKlansman is nominated Best Picture. BlacKkKlansman top 5 for my list of 2018.
I still don't want that one to win either.
I don't think it's going to win either. Because there actually is criticism about it. There is criticism. Many, not everyone, but many black people even criticize Spike Lee's depiction of what black people are or something. Anyway, Bohemian Rhapsody is also nominated. Man. It won the Golden Globe for Best Drama.
All these mediocre choices.
Right. I loved I loved Bohemian Rhapsody, as well, much more than I think the average person did.
I enjoyed it.
I really liked it.
I love the music.
Yeah. And a lot of people are like, well, Bohemian Rhapsody, it like skirts around the truth of the matter, which I totally agree with. And I would have liked Bohemian Rhapsody probably even more if it did go into the more reality of Freddie Mercury's life.
I hear that. I'm not even on that category. And we talked about this. For me, it was more about like just the movie presented challenges that were immediately overcome in the very next scene. And so it was like, it was one of those, what do they call the Ray character? A Mary Sue or something like that? You know that whole thing where they say like everything happens easily for her?
Yeah, I forget.
Right, okay. So it's like that with this. It's like, oh my gosh, we've lost our singer. What? Oh, here's a new singer. Oh, he can't perform. Okay, now he can perform.
Pollyanna?
Pollyanna, I think. Yeah. And no, that's not quite. It's like a Mary Sue. I think it's Mary Sue.
Oh, okay.
But then it's like, oh, what are we going to do? We need to get signed. 1 year later, we're signed. Oh, okay.
Right. But the tone was consistent.
Yeah.
And as soon as I got used to the tone, which I thought was overly silly at times, like when they're writing and recording Bohemian Rhapsody.
Right, we talked about that too.
It's like they just sort of joke around it, like Queen sits down and jokes around, and a genius song emerges. Right. As songwriters, you and me know, it's much more difficult than that. Yeah. And there's a lot of hard work and a lot of self-doubt and a lot of, well, that sounded like shit. Let's rework that. So but the tone was pretty consistent. And, when I go to Disneyland, I'm not like, where's the grit? I'm like, I enjoy Disneyland.
Sure.
And
I just don't nominate Disneyland for an Oscar.
Fine. But as a movie, it's like, if you go into Bohemian Rhapsody knowing it's the Disneyland of a Queen movie.
Well, I don't mind them nominating him for an Oscar.
The Favourite was also nominated, which you haven't seen yet. I hope this one wins.
I hope it does too.
Out of all the movies, I actually
no, sorry. I hope Roma wins. My bad.
I was going to say.
Yeah, my bad. Forgot.
I find The Favourite to be a very compelling story. It's very unique. It's an interesting story arc, actually, that emerges. Like, halfway through the movie, you think you know where it's going.
So I want to see that one for sure, and I bet you I'm going to like it.
Yorgos Lanthimos. Lanthimos is a true auteur, as they say. He made The Lobster in 2015. Did you see that movie?
No, I know. I have to see it.
It's a weird movie. He's a Greek fella. and I can't wait to see what he does with his career, especially. So when I saw The Lobster, I was like, well, that was interesting. That had some interesting elements to it. And then he makes The Favourite, which retains some of that weirdness and that voice, but actually it's not a confusing movie. It's a very straightforward story. And he kept to the after the movie, I looked up the source material because it's a historical fiction. It's based on real people. Strangely, the movie is actually a speculation that could have actually happened.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, the very specifics we don't know, but the broad strokes seem fantastical. But when you actually read the story, you're like, oh, some people think this might have actually happened. That we don't know, of course, because blah blah. Now I hope this wins, but it probably won't. I don't think it's big enough to win. Plus, the energy around Roma is just Green Book. I haven't seen it. Have you seen it?
No.
Mixed reviews. Some say it's like the way race was treated in movies in the 80s. That's what a lot of people are saying. I don't think it's going to win, but it did win the Golden Globe.
Oh, it did?
So Bohemian Rhapsody and Green Book won the Golden Globe. And then Roma, I think, will absolutely win. I don't think there's much doubt about that.
You're not on the Roma camp.
Yeah, I keep telling other people to watch it and then let me know, and everyone does. And I'm like, so what'd you think? And they're like, it was amazing. And I'm just like, God damn it. Like, I've talked about this before. I am usually the one who likes the weird movies that no one else likes.
Yeah.
Like, I liked, when I saw Moonlight, for example.
Right.
I had heard nothing about it, and I walked out of the theater going like, that was one of the best movies I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And then I'm telling other people, and they're like, yeah, it was, it was good. It was sort of slow.
Like, I've had that experience too. Like, because you and I usually, with those kinds of movies, we're pretty aligned.
Right.
And, I mean, you see way more movies. So you even have some that either I haven't seen or I might have seen that you even like that I don't like as much. But certainly on the ones that have, like Moonlight and stuff like that, we're aligned. So this one, when you told me to watch it, and I had watched half of it before we talked again, I was assuming that it was one of those cases, like, you gotta watch it. And instead you're like, you gotta watch it because I need to talk to you about this.
Yeah. So if you even were just mediocre about Roma, please contact me because I'm yet to talk with a single human being who shares my opinion that Roma, although a wonderful story, if you just summed it up in a few sentences, is not a interesting watch.
Yeah.
A Star is Born was nominated. Did you see it?
No, I want to see it. I think we talked about how I actually was under the misunderstanding that this was sort of like her real life story.
No.
And instead it's a remake of a book, of a movie that was based on a book or something like that.
Well, I don't know if it was based on the book, but it's a remake of a remake. So
remake of a remake.
In fact, I think there was another remake as well.
It's been like done 4 times.
The famous one that a lot of people our age and older remember are the Barbra Streisand version. And before that, there was a Judy Garland version.
Never heard or seen of either.
Yeah. So I thought it was good. I could see this one winning Best Picture. I don't think it deserves it, but I thought it was good. It's very sweeping and has all the elements of a Hollywood experience.
Yeah.
I loved the first half. The first half is very real, and Lady Gaga is amazing.
So she plays a convincing person that comes out of nowhere and becomes a famous female star?
Absolutely.
I'm being facetious.
Well, very quickly, I forget it's Lady Gaga.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's fair.
And I think she might have gained weight on purpose because she's not like she seems normal in the movie, and she doesn't wear a lot of makeup and people love Bradley Cooper. I thought he did a great job directing. His character, although is well acted, his voice that he landed on is so annoying.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it very accented?
Yeah.
Is it like when I do accents?
Yeah. Yeah, it's about like that. It when he's talking, I'm like, Bradley Cooper, why are you talking? No one talks like that.
Y'all, you're here now.
No, it's like so he tried to do Sam Elliott's voice.
Oh, what?
That's what he was. When I was watching it.
That's hard.
When I was watching it, I didn't think that, but it's like, that's kind of the voice.
Back in the old West.
It's sort of like in Brokeback Mountain, Heath Ledger's accent was atrocious.
Really? I
Which
never
is so
saw
weird
Brokeback Mountain.
because Heath Ledger and Jake Gyllenhaal are supposedly from the same area.
Yeah.
And Jake Gyllenhaal is basically just a slight shade off of his regular accent.
Speaking of which, sorry. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Heath Ledger is like...
I never saw the movie, but in the little clips I saw, I know what you're talking about.
I didn't understand what he was saying.
Really?
I mean, that's one of the definitions of an acting job.
Okay.
Especially if you're speaking English, American English to Americans, and I don't understand what you're saying.
But by the way, did you watch the Jake Gyllenhaal Netflix movie?
No. What?
It just came out recently. It's about the painter.
No.
You haven't seen or heard about this?
I saw it as a suggested thing. But
Oh my gosh, what is it called? I forgot what it's called. I just watched it.
Is it good?
I want you to watch it and then we can talk about it.
Okay. Vice is the last one that got nominated. I haven't seen it. Have you seen it?
Vice? No.
Adam McKay. It's about
Drugs?
Cheney. No, Cheney.
Oh, okay. No, duh. And with he must be nominated, right? Patrick Bateman?
Yeah, I think
Christian
so.
Bale?
So this is, I think, what happened. Adam McKay, he made The Big Short
Yeah.
and got a lot of accolades for that movie. Maybe the most accolades he's ever gotten.
Right. Which I was lukewarm on that one.
Me too.
Loved the content, like the sort of the theme.
Yeah.
But lukewarm on the style.
I'm glad we agree because I was the same way. I was like, why are people freaking out about this movie? It's not that great. It's interesting. The storyline is like, that's an interesting thing
like
that you
extra depressing in that sense. But
but as a movie, there were several moments I'm like, where is this going? And I'm getting really tired of Steve Carell. I loved The Office. I've watched The Office all 8 seasons twice. I love Steve Carell. When he left The Office, I was so bummed out.
Yeah.
I thought that Ed Helms did a great job, but the Steve Carell Office, Dwight,
definitely,
Pam, Jim, it was just so good.
It's a little magical.
And I've certainly liked him in a lot of other movies. I find that Steve Carell is not that great of an actor. Like there are certain roles that I find I can see right through his acting. With Christian Bale, I don't see that, right? When Christian Bale acts, that's the thing. When I notice someone is acting, then you're not doing a good job. You know what I mean? Like
I had for example, I've had that problem in a lot of Brad Pitt's roles. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Yeah. Where I'm like, because I love him. I love Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
And the roles where he's playing closer to what he is, like a stud, essentially, then I'm like, okay, I believe it. The ones that are a little weirder, I'm always like, I can see through this.
Well, it depends on what kind of stud. Like Burn After Reading, for example, he plays one of the best characters I've ever seen him play.
Yeah.
He plays like this kind of frivolous guy who works out.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Chews gum all the time.
Yeah.
He's great in that. But when he acts in, say, Inglourious Bastards, for example, he's trying to act like a tough guy.
Right.
In that movie, it's a comedy, so
it kind of works, but yeah.
But he was in a Netflix movie about a actual general that went to the Iraq War or Afghanistan War. I can't remember which one. Maybe.
I think I know which movie you're talking about. Yeah.
And in that movie, he plays a similar character to Inglourious Bastard, but it's played more normally. Anyway, so I imagine with Vice, I'm not going to like it that much. I've heard mixed reviews about it. And although Christian Bale, just from the previews, looks like he's doing an amazing job.
Not only that, Christian Bale in the first one you mentioned.
Big Short.
In fact, I wanted to see more of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's take a break, and when we get back, let's talk about what movies got snubbed. What do you say?
Let's do it.
Okay, we're back from the break. If you're listening this long, then you're one of the people who might actually like us when we talk about movies. So if you like that sort of thing and you're not a patron of the podcast, do so now. Go to patreon.com. That's how we know you like the podcast. Become a patron and show the love.
Fund our movie that we're making for the Oscars.
Also, if you're having trouble with the premium feed, email us at contact@psychologyinseattle.com. Also, buy my book called Multi-Role Clinical Supervision. If you are a clinician that's thinking about being a supervisor, or you're a supervisor, or even you're a supervisee, it can sometimes help to read about what supervision is supposed to look like. You can like our Facebook page and play our Tuesday Tougher Bluff game. You can join the Facebook fan group, which I never go to, and people can complain about me there. You can tweet us at Psych in Seattle, or for Berto at PsychoBerto, Psych0Berto. You can go to our YouTube page. You can go to Berto's YouTube page, which is PsychoBerto. If you want to, so we have we have about 850 episodes. And so if you're listening to the podcast on your phone app, in all likelihood, you only have access to like 1 to 300 of the most recent episodes. If you want all the episodes, you have to go to the website. And arguably, a lot of our good episodes are, prior to a couple years ago. We want to meet our next Patreon goals. So, right now we're giving a scholarship to someone who we've accepted applications. We're going to give a $2,000 scholarship to someone who is in graduate school to become a mental health worker and who has made a difference in the world and wants to make a difference in the world and needs money for their education. A $2,000 scholarship. I just feel so good about it.
That is so amazing.
Yeah, I mean, in the past, we've given money to other charities, but there's something about actually handing a check for $2,000 to somebody,
So, I don't know what your experience was like, but when I was in college, I applied regularly for scholarships and help and things, and I got a few, and when I would get them, it was like manna from heaven. Like, it was so awesome. Because I was getting school loans, so I was accruing all this debt. Every time I would get one of those, I could pay off a little bit of the debt. I would be able to afford a new jacket or something. I could get some new drugs. Beer.
Pencils.
Drop out of school.
Yeah.
Oh wait.
So now, by the time this episode comes out, we might have actually already made the announcement about who won. But Berto, you're supposed to be reading the essays.
Yeah, I have a subset to talk about.
So you've read them?
Almost all, but I have a couple more.
Oh, okay. So I think I keep wanting to do this, and I think I'm just going to do this now. So I'm going to make an announcement to all the fans out there, because if you're listening to this point, you're probably still a fan, or you're probably a fan of the podcast. I'm going to start involving my wife on the podcast.
Yay!
Her name is Stacy.
What?
Her name is Stacy. So some of you have met her at the live events. Some of you have maybe seen her on Twitter or Facebook or something. So when I first started the podcast, I wanted to keep my personal life out of the internet.
Sure.
I just thought, well, why divulge more than you have to? Just talk about psychology, maybe some anecdotes from your life, sprinkle in there. But, try to keep it as professional and as boundaried as I need. No one needs to know my personal life, right?
Right.
They come here for a psychology podcast and information and that kind of thing. And, there's no point in that. As time has gone on, as I've made more and more episodes, I just kind of kept to that policy. But at a certain point, like a few years ago, I just thought it's getting kind of cumbersome to not acknowledge the fact that I'm married and that I have a family. It was just sort of weird, because there would be times when I'd want to talk about a conversation I had with my wife, and I would refer to her as a friend or something.
A friend of mine.
Right.
As I was having intercourse with my friend last night.
Go to episode 455 for that tidbit. God knows what I talked about in that episode. But anyway, so a while ago, I was meeting with some people, and they were telling me advice about the podcast, because this is basically a one-man show. Berto comes over, he sits down in the chair, and maybe does a little bit of research, but he mainly just sits down and he riffs, and then he goes home.
Open my yap.
And occasionally he does some background information. You're doing more and more as time goes on, but for the vast majority of the podcast, that was the way it was. It was a one-man show. It was me.
Yep.
And in the beginning, when podcasts first started, there was basically this expectation that that's pretty much all you did. You made a podcast RSS feed, and people listened on their phones, and that was it.
Yeah.
There was no YouTube presence that was really necessary or thought to be associated with podcasts. Certainly Twitter wasn't needed. Instagram was barely a thing.
Right.
So you just recorded podcasts into an audio thing and posted them, and I was really good at that. I could do that all day long, and that's pretty easy for me to do. Well, then over time, little things start getting added. Like, well, let's start a Facebook page. Okay. And then I wouldn't really do anything on it for a few years. Yeah. And then someone would be like, how come you never post anything on Facebook?
Right.
I'd be like, okay, well, maybe I'll do this Tuesday Tougher Bluff thing.
Yeah.
And then someone says, you should be on YouTube because it's actually easier for me to listen on YouTube because the interface, I like YouTube better than I like audio players, And then people are like, oh, you should be on SoundCloud. Oh, you got to be on Instagram. Oh, you got to have a different Facebook page for the fans. And every step of the way I resisted, because to me, I don't care about that shit.
And it's a lot more work.
And I just think that the content should carry the day.
Yeah.
Like, because I've actually talked to other podcasters and other content creators, as they're called. And whenever I'd interact with them, I always found them to, I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it. They were annoyingly concentrating on all the social media stuff.
Sure.
And I don't know if it's just a product of my age. I'm sure it was.
Yeah.
But when I would talk to these other content providers, they would predominantly talk about Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. And I'd be like, well, where's the content? Like, okay, great. You're posting a picture about this or that, or you're posting a teaser for an episode. Who cares? Just make good content. People will listen. You know what I mean?
If you build it.
Right. Like, I don't follow any Twitter of any podcast I listen to hundreds of podcasts.
You don't follow my Twitter?
Yeah. but that's just me.
Yeah.
And it all hit a point about 5 or 6 months ago. I don't remember who I was talking to, but I was someone I respected, and they basically were saying, dude, you got to be better with social media. Like, there's something wrong with you and your podcast that you're not, your website's all jumbled. You haven't touched your Twitter account. You don't even have an Instagram account. What's wrong with you? Like, and I just remember being like, oh God. So I decided I'd start looking into it, and I decided I was going to give it a shot. And every step of the way just felt like I was trudging through mud. Like, there are certain things that I will feel super motivated to do. Like when I prepared for this Oscar episode, I was super into it. I was just like, like you had to hold me back. But like figuring out how to promote things on Instagram, like it just feels so laborious to me.
Right.
So I started calling different advertising agencies and marketing firms and consultants just to see, like, is there a cheap option? Could I pay someone like $5 an hour and they could do this for me or something? Right. I don't know. So I start looking into it, and again, the consultants are just ripping me apart. They're like, okay, so I just have to tell you, they're like, if you end up hiring us, I just have to tell you, you are horrible at online stuff.
Oh,
your website is a joke. Your Instagram, and I'm like, do I have to be on Instagram? Because I don't really get it. And they're like, yes, Instagram is the number one thing. And I'm like, oh, God.
So they say that Instagram is the number one thing?
Yeah, especially with younger people, right?
So I'm so missing out on life.
Right. So I go, okay, fine. So I start thinking about hiring someone, and I'm just thinking, is this how I want to spend my money? It just doesn't seem right to me, because it's not content. Just like me talking about there's not content isn't content. We got to get back to the Oscars at some point. So I'm having a conversation with my wife about this, and all of a sudden it just occurs to me, what if you do it? What if you work for I'm talking to my wife. I'm like, would you be interested in being that person who does all those things?
Right.
And you know what? You could do all these, like you could send mugs out to people who are $20 patrons. Because I do that by hand now. Because again, I'm a one-man show. I send stickers individually. Again, one-man show. Right. I get the envelope. I write the address. With Stacy, my wife, I suggested this to her, and she was like, "Huh, sounds interesting. Yeah, let's give it a shot." And man, has it been awesome. I mean, she likes it. She's good at it. So this all brings back to the original reason why I wanted to bring her up. One, I want to bring it up because I want people to know that, because some people like Emily, on Instagram said,
Pittsburgh Emily?
yeah,
Okay.
she said on Instagram, well, someone likes to do Instagram lately. And I just want everyone to know that my wife, Stacy, she's the one. So,
Wow.
so when you see all the Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, website redesign, we're going to start sending cards to patrons, all that stuff.
It's her.
It's my wife.
Wow.
Right.
I should say I should use this opportunity too I'm in a relationship with Kirk all these years. But we're not brothers and we're not colleagues. So obviously something.
I feel relieved about this because now I can finally actually just say,
yeah,
my wife.
Now
and
I can talk about. It's like, yeah, the other day, like Stacy was saying.
Yeah.
And people were, who's Stacy? Well, now I can say.
Exactly. Yeah.
And she'll never come up again.
For years, wanted her to come on the podcast to talk about various different things.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want to.
Okay.
She is like, nope, I'm never coming on your podcast.
Okay.
Okay, back to the Oscars. What movies were snubbed for Best Picture?
Oh, man. I never remember what movies came out when. So, Amadeus. No. Go ahead and let's see how I react.
8th Grade.
What? That
Right?
was last year?
Yeah.
That was not even nominated?
For anything.
Oh, my God.
It should have been nominated for Screenplay, Director, Best Movie.
That's insane.
Best Actress. Yeah.
Oh, that is it. Oh, I'm so done.
Yeah.
I might not even come to your party.
Right, because to me, 8th Grade is better than all those movies
I would
combined.
agree. I would actually agree. Even though I love Roma, I would actually put 8th Grade there.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
No, I would. I haven't seen all of them, but of the ones I've seen, certainly absolutely. So the only one I'm even in my head kind of weighing is the Roma one, but 8th Grade was so good.
Yeah, and original and compelling and real and and a directorial voice.
Yeah.
To a lesser extent, A Quiet Place. I thought,
I liked it.
but it should have got like screenplay.
But
or
see, to me, A Quiet Place is like Gravity. It's like, all right, strap on, make sure your seatbelts are tight. Here we go.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it? Yeah.
But like, I have a feeling I'm gonna think A Quiet Place was a lot better than Vice, for example,
You might be right.
or Green Book.
You might be right.
Some say the following, which I actually don't agree with. First Man,
I haven't seen that.
which for Best Picture.
That's the astronaut.
Yeah.
Astronaut.
Which I could see. I mean, it's certainly an Oscar-seeming like movie,
Sure.
but I don't know. I thought it was interesting, but probably better
couple.
deserved than say.
I see.
And I shouldn't hack on Green Book and Vice. I haven't. Those are the two I haven't seen.
Yeah. That Vice movie, which I haven't seen.
But I have a feeling, though, based on also Crazy Rich Asians, some people should be nominated. I don't know.
Actually, is it nominated for something?
No.
Because I wouldn't say it was like my favorite movie at all, but it certainly had a lot of strong stuff going for it.
Constance Wu should have been nominated for
Yeah.
But I don't know if the movie really. I mean, it's a silly rom-com.
Yeah. No, I understand the movie not being nominated for Best Picture.
And as an Asian person, I liked it, but I wasn't like, oh my God, this is better than Saving Private Ryan. It's
Right.
like, no. Another movie, Beautiful Boy. You probably haven't seen that.
No, but I heard really good things about it.
It is.
No?
It's boring.
Wait, is this the Steve Carell one?
Yeah.
I actually heard the opposite from you then, but I thought someone that I talked to said that they liked it.
Timothy Chalamet and Steve Carell. It is plotless. It's monotonous.
Okay.
It's probably at least 45 minutes too long.
Ugh.
Steve Carell is, in this movie, not a good actor, in my opinion.
Okay, now I got confused. I think this is what I heard from you. Maybe I still am thinking about it as Boyhood.
So I'm just going to rip through every movie I saw in 2018 and put it into the different rankings.
Sure.
So top 5, BlacKkKlansman, Deadpool 2, which I rewatched again. Brilliant movie. Super funny. Especially the version with Fred Savage. Ralph Breaks the Internet. again.
Oh, I really enjoyed that.
Right?
Yeah.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Definitely. That's my top animated for last year.
And although this is a mini series and not really a movie, I still want to put it in my top 5 because I loved it so much. It's Watership Down.
Oh, you mentioned that.
Which is a Netflix miniseries. I think it's 4 episodes, but it feels like a movie to me. So that is...
That would open a whole can of worms, you know.
A miniseries, right?
Yeah.
Which is interesting that I have 3 cartoons...
Yeah.
And 1 superhero movie in my top 5, which gives you an idea. My claim is that not a lot of good dramas came out this year. Next 5: A Quiet Place, Black Panther, Ali Wong, Hard Knock Life stand-up special, which I consider those to be movies.
That's a movie? Okay.
Well, it's a Netflix special. I don't know.
Yeah.
8th Grade and Solo. I'm sorry. I loved Solo. I thought it was great. I get why people didn't like it.
Solo was entertaining for sure. I think the where I join in the haterade is just, and we talked about this, all the over explaining that they did about like how he got the gun or whatever. Yeah. But it was entertaining. It was certainly better than some of the other parts of some of the other movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My next category outside of my top 10 is a category I say thoroughly enjoyed it. So you could say this is my top 15. Blockers, which is a comedy.
Oh, is that the Cock Blockers one?
Yeah. Surprisingly funny.
Really?
Yeah, really good. Yeah. And touching. Bird Box. I get why people didn't like this movie. I was into it.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Adam Sandler's special, 100% Fresh.
I heard he was actually funny in that.
It's really good. Yeah. It's well put together.
Like old school Adam Sandler.
Well,
better than old school.
Yes. Okay. I would say it is. When I watched it, I was like, this is the first stand-up I've seen of Adam Sandler that I actually liked.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's funny, it's interesting, it's touching.
Is it Grown Ups or Grown Ups 2?
Yeah. Avengers Infinity War, I thought was a solid...
That was a solid movie.
Solid movie.
Yeah.
And Incredibles 2.
And by the way, I would actually put Avengers Infinity War above Black Panther.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I didn't in this context, which is interesting. Yeah. But at the time, I think I would have.
Yeah.
Maybe I should revise that. It just seems weird to put in Avengers in the top 10. I don't know.
No, I mean, just like all of them, they all have plot points and things that are silly. But
my next category of 4 movies is I liked it, but I get why most people disliked it.
Okay.
But I thoroughly liked it. Was Annihilation.
Oh, wait. Annihilation was last year?
Yeah.
What in the royal fuck?
That should have been nominated for something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wait, how is it not nominated?
Yeah. I mean, it for some reason just didn't get any love.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm glad you see that.
Oh.
I thought Bohemian Rhapsody, again, I really liked it, but I could see why people didn't like it. Sorry to Bother You. That's actually another movie that was interesting. It wasn't nominated for something.
I really enjoyed Sorry to Bother You. And it is weird, and I see why people didn't maybe resonate with it or something. It was sort of like 75% of the time I was like, this is really interesting and funny, and I can kind of relate to it on some level. And then there were other parts where I was like, okay, what? It gets weird. Yeah.
Weird, but also like non-enjoyable weird.
Yeah, that's fair.
Almost like a different movie or something.
It does do that, yeah.
And I'm going to put Black Mirror Bandersnatch as a movie in this category.
Actually, why isn't it?
Well, because I think Black Mirror even said we don't know how to define.
Did it come out prior to the nominations? Like, would it have counted?
Oh, maybe it came out in this year, actually. Maybe you're right.
I think so. But it is a good question. Why wouldn't that be a movie?
Well, it's all different kinds of...
I guess.
What do you say? I'm trying to... so now I can say... So my dog is barking outside, and so now I'm texting my wife, Stacy, who is in another part of the house,
Whoa.
to
You're
come
what?
to come get the dog. In the past, I would have to just.
I'm texting a friend of mine.
The next group is a pretty big group. Good use of 90 minutes, I say. So airplane movie, or if you don't have anything else to watch,
Right.
definitely worth the time.
Okay.
But not like a mind-blowing experience.
Sure.
A Simple Favor,
Oh yeah.
which was good.
That was, yeah, I could see. That's a great description for that movie.
A Star is Born.
Oh, whoa. So you put A Star is Born all the way here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, not amazing, but
Okay.
a good use of 90 minutes. Crazy Rich Asians.
Okay.
Early Man, which is a animation movie, a claymation movie by that English guy who does
the Wallace and Gromit?
Wallace and Gromit. Yeah,
I think I saw the previews for that.
it's funny. I mean, it's in that
Okay.
realm with Wallace and Gromit.
Yeah, yeah.
First Man, I put in this category. Game Night. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah, that was entertaining.
Right. That's a
That was surprising, actually. It had a lot of little twists.
Yeah. I didn't like it as much as everyone else did, but I definitely think it's a good use of 90 minutes.
I mean, I guess I went to see something expecting something very simple and straightforward, and I got more than I was expecting.
Yeah, it's definitely like an ensemble movie. Isle of Dogs.
Oh, that was totally not anywhere, huh?
Yeah.
But you didn't
No,
love this
it did
one.
get nominated for something.
But this is not one that you loved.
No. I need to rewatch it. There were other Wes Anderson movies that
Took more than once.
yeah. And so
I still haven't seen it.
oh God, yeah, you need to watch movies, man. John Leguizamo's special, Latin History for Morons. Have you seen it yet?
No, that sounds amazing.
It's so good.
But I'm not so bright. Will I get it?
Yeah. Like Father, which I think is a Netflix movie. Hidden Gem. It has Frasier in it.
Oh.
Is it Frasier? Is that anyway?
Kelsey?
And the girl from A Good Place. What's her name?
Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah, what is? From Sarah Marshall. Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Yeah. Like Father, Hidden Gem, not amazing, but a good use of 90 minutes. Outlaw King with Chris Pine, not a interesting movie. I thought it was interesting, but not amazing. I put Ready Player One in this category.
Oh, I forgot that came out last year. Oh, yeah. I mean, sure. Why wouldn't you watch it if you can watch it on an airplane or?
Yeah. When I look back at my reaction after seeing the movie initially, I think I was so nerding out on all the buttons it pressed in me from the 80s that I was blind to how sort of mediocre this movie was.
Right, but it wasn't not entertaining.
No.
Like I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Searching with John Cho, definitely good use of 90 minutes.
I actually would bump that one up.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed that one.
I might do that. So now here's a weird one: the Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Right.
Have you seen this one?
You
yet?
recommended it to me. I have not yet seen it.
So
It's a mix of stories, right?
yeah, it's essentially like 8 shorts crammed together.
Okay.
7, 8 shorts.
Like in my drawer at home.
Yeah. And some of the shorts, all the shorts are worth watching, in my opinion.
Okay.
Some of them are not as compelling,
So they're uneven, but some of them are great.
but some of the shorts are incredible.
Oh, wow.
There are 2 shorts that I found that I think about sometimes. They just pop into my head. There's one with Zoe Kazan that is amazing. And there's another one with Tom Waits that is amazing. Actually, there's one with Liam Neeson that is interesting, has an interesting ending, but it's kind of slow in the beginning. So this one's weird because I would say it's a good use of 90 minutes, but there are some moments that I think
Great use of 15 minutes.
are potentially the Coen brothers' best work they've ever made. You know, in this real short package.
Right.
So another movie, Unsane, with Claire Foy and Soderbergh.
Unsane. Okay.
Yeah. Good use of 90 minutes. Interesting movie. My next category is, I guess, if you have nothing else to watch. Mission Impossible Fallout.
Oh, no. It wasn't that good?
No, I mean, if you have nothing else to watch, it's fine.
So, but how do you feel about the previous ones, not counting the first one?
I've
like
watched
the last 3.
Well, it sort of depends because when they came out, it was 20 something years ago. So action movies at the time, the expectations were different. The first Mission Impossible movie,
No, I'm not counting that.
but that was pretty good.
I have bad feelings about it.
The second one was okay, but the third one I loved because it was John Woo,
Yeah.
which not everyone liked.
I liked the third one.
Then the modern,
Love the fourth one.
the modern ones are fun, I think, and maybe better. I mean, Mission Impossible again. Mission Impossible Fallout. If you like these kinds of movies, or you like an action movie, or you like James Bond, or you like Bourne Identity movies, you're absolutely going to like this movie. Okay. Are you going to forget it as soon as you walk out of the theater or as soon as you press stop? Yes, you're going to forget it. There's nothing noticeable about this movie. Ocean's 8, which I found to be...
Oh my gosh, I was so bored.
Yeah, I found to be like...
So bored.
Just not interesting. I mean, again, I guess if you have nothing else better to watch. The Grinch, which if you're really...
Wait a minute, I enjoyed that.
Yeah, good, but great. I saw it on Christmas Eve.
It got terrible ratings. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, if you have... I mean, I can't recommend watching... So if you're coming up on Christmas and you like this sort of thing, then absolutely put it in. You could do a lot worse with a classic story from Christmas. But as I was watching it over Christmas Eve, I was thinking like, there's nothing really that compelling about. It takes the Grinch story and it kind of smooths it over.
Yes.
And which, like the original Dr. Seuss version, I don't know if Dr. Seuss had anything to do with that original cartoon, but that's a short, and it has a certain
Boris Karloff.
It has a certain poetry to it.
Yeah.
And then the Jim Carrey version, although
I didn't see that.
Although you could argue is weird. It's the Ron Howard version. You could say is weird and sort of Jim Carrey'd up. Yeah. At least it has like a thing about it. It's Jim Carrey doing Jim Carrey. This one, it doesn't really have the poetry of the first one.
Sure.
And it doesn't have anything that really makes it very special like Jim Carrey tried.
Fair enough.
It just kind of is it's a good movie to watch around Christmas time with the kids.
I'll grant you that. I enjoyed it, but I'll grant you that. Yeah.
So riff and talk about movies while I let the dog in because apparently my wife is not paying attention to her phone.
One of the movies I enjoyed, which I know you really hated, was Smallfoot. Or as Siri with a British accent says, Smallfoot. Because this movie, I thought, actually had good songs. And I know that you don't think it has good songs. And since you're not at your mic, I can say that you've changed your mind and now you agree with me. And you did like it and you like the songs. Anyways, next topic.
So Smallfoot, the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like. So my last movie, and I guess if you have nothing else better to watch, was 12 Strong with Chris the Thor.
Oh, okay. Chris the Thor. I still don't remember his name.
He is in 12 Strong.
Hemsworth.
It's a movie that is based on a real story. It's like the first American troops to land in Afghanistan after 9/11, I believe. And there are some interesting points in it.
Is he like special forces or something?
I don't know what branch, but they're supposedly champing at the bit to be the first on the ground. And I found the story to be interesting on some level, but also just kind of boring.
Okay. My
next category is Don't Bother. The Clint Eastwood movie, the 1517 to Paris.
Oh, really?
Have you seen that?
I saw the previews. I didn't see it.
So this movie is about a real story about 3 American military guys who go to Paris, Europe, and they're traveling all around.
I saw some interviews about it.
And there's a terrorist attack on a train, and they heroically sacrifice themselves and get injured and stop a man from, if his plan played out, he would have killed dozens of people.
Sounds compelling.
He had a gun. He would have shot all these people and then he had a bomb and he would have blown people up. Like it was a serious terrorist attack.
This sounds intense and compelling.
And American guys, one of them in particular, just bum rushed the guy.
Yeah.
The guy tried to shoot him, his gun jammed. So he would have been dead.
So
like
lucky.
it's intense. So what Clint Eastwood did is he took the actual three fellas
Yeah.
and cast them in this movie.
Oh.
So these aren't actors.
Non-actors.
These are the actual three guys,
Okay.
which, is an
It's-
interesting choice.
And I see from his perspective, it's like, why not give them the glory kind of thing?
Sure. But then he proceeds to write a script. I don't know who wrote the script. Maybe him.
By the way, I saw, it's so funny because I saw an interview that now makes so much more sense because I didn't realize that the actors were the people.
Yeah.
And when, did you ever see interviews with them talking about it?
I don't know.
Some of the stuff they're saying sounds like they did it themselves. And they did. All right.
So they proceed to write a story that is very accurate, which, as we all know, is not very interesting. So the story of these three guys leading up to that moment is not interesting.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of moments of them sitting around a table in Europe just talking, and these are three terrible actors. God bless them.
Right.
But they're not very interesting, actors. And I'm just like, when is this story going to get going? And of course, it doesn't, because the story is these are three regular guys. There's nothing interesting about them.
So it's a brave concept to tackle, and that's like, look, you don't get it. Heroes are all around us, and these are normal people.
And they depict the guys, I assume, purposely as sort of accurately, in that they represent, shall we say, middle America.
Yeah.
They're not very refined. These aren't elite, educated.
Coastal elite
professors. These are down-home American
Right.
guys, or at least the way they portray them. Anyway, but the moment on the train, the 10 minutes or whatever that takes place, because it actually is a interesting, the way the fight evolves. There's like several stages to the battle between the three guys and the one guy. That is compelling movie making.
Okay.
It's sort of like Sully. The scenes when they're on the plane,
I see,
is compelling movie making, and the rest of Sully
is boring.
Is boring as hell.
Okay.
Tag, the comedy.
Oh, I enjoyed that. You really didn't enjoy it?
No.
Not at all.
Not funny.
I mean, I would have put it in if you have nothing better to do.
Okay, maybe. Okay. But I actually consider it to be
totally unfunny.
Not funny. Like it's...
I would agree with you that I wasn't laughing, but it was one of those like... the premise, and because it was based on loosely based on real people's thing.
Sure.
I kind of found it. Plus, actually, you know where I watched it? On a plane.
Yeah. Which I could see, but honestly, about halfway through the movie, I was like, how do you get these amazing actors together?
Yeah.
In a really funny concept and make a movie that isn't funny at all?
Okay, that's fair.
Like and the premise of Jeremy Renner's character is so good at the game.
Right.
Was not interesting. Like Jeremy Renner's character was like essentially the bad guy among their friends, even though he wasn't evil, but he was just so good at the tag game. Right. And I was just like,
there's no arc to that.
Yeah, there was no arc to that. If Jeremy Renner's character had some sort of arc and he was just like, you know what? I mean, they tried to do it kind of, but anyway, it wasn't interesting. Not like Blockers, which has a similar tone of silliness, but is laugh after laugh and has poignant moments of growth. Because Blockers focuses on two dads and a mom that they're not related,
but they're trying to prevent their kids from having
their
sex.
Three daughters are best friends who have decided they're going to have sex on prom night.
Oh.
And the mom has accidentally, one of the daughters left one of her laptops open.
Oh no.
And their text chain was going back and forth. And the mom kind of discovers this.
Oh no.
And then somehow goes to these other dads of the other kids, and they go on this adventure trying to track down these three girls in this one night. And don't
ruin it, because now I want to watch it.
the lessons that they learn,
Okay.
the way they, so like one thing that I'll say that isn't spoiling it is, you know, in a typical American fashion, what we would do is, well, the lesson is don't be a slut.
Yeah.
Or wait until you're married, or wait until, you know, they never go there.
They don't go there.
It's
Good.
like women, you know, who are 18 and graduating from high school soon have just as much agency and right to be quote unquote slutty as anyone else. Right. And so there's no right or wrong answer to that. It's like, it's okay to be frivolous with sex if that's what you're cool with in that moment, you know? Anyway, Pacific Rim, the 2 Uprising.
Oh man, I didn't even realize that came out last year.
Pale comparison to the first movie. Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom.
Did not watch that one.
Forgettable. Super Troopers 2, which
I also did not realize that came out.
Which was a massive disappointment.
Oh man.
So I could see how some people who loved the first Super Troopers might like this. I don't know if I just had too many good memories of the first one, but when watch,
I was never huge on the first one. I know people really love it. It's a cult and all these things. I enjoyed it, but I was never like, oh my God, that was oh my God.
And don't bother with Smallfoot, for example.
I enjoyed Smallfoot.
Look, for kids, absolutely.
Hey, it's another day, just like another life does not be this way, not just single day. And then that little song they do, that's the karaoke of Under Pressure, but he's singing his own. I love this.
So a similar movie in tone is Trolls. But the difference between Smallfoot and Trolls is totally for kids too, is that Trolls is hilarious. Trolls, the character of Bridget and McLovin, who plays the king, it is so funny.
So funny that you and I are on opposites on this one. Because in both cases, the music has been drilled into my head now because they play it everywhere. But yeah, that's funny.
Mowgli, the new Jungle Book.
Oh, that came out?
Yeah, Netflix.
I wanted to see that. No? Bad news?
Don't bother. I mean, if you're into Jungle Book, I would check it out. It's interesting depiction. It's, you know, but it was unsettling kind of the way that they animated it and the way they told the story. The other question is like, why would you make another Jungle Book on the heels of another Jungle Book? Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. And if at the very least, I would watch like the first 15 minutes just to kind of see what they did with it, you know?
Did you like the Jungle Book with
I thought it was okay.
the one with Jason, the guy who played Bruce Lee back in the 90s?
Oh, I don't know if I saw that one.
Okay. It was pretty entertaining, I thought.
Hereditary, which I know you loved.
Wait, what am I? Oh, Hereditary. I loved Hereditary.
Yeah.
What? How can you say it's bad?
I say don't bother unless you like horror movies. Then of course,
my gosh,
if you like horror movies, then you'll probably love Hereditary because, like the way that people who like crappy jazz.
Oh my God.
When you listen, like
that's not fair.
Like if you're into Yanni, for example.
Oh my God.
I mean, there's some people into Yanni.
Oh my God.
And Yanni releases another album, then in all likelihood you're gonna like it.
You're a bastard.
But if you're not into Yanni and you listen to one of his avant-garde albums, you're gonna be like, well, that's just more goddamn Yanni. Well, Hereditary is just more goddamn horror.
Okay.
I mean, it has the beginning. I will say, I was like, this is kind of interesting. I wasn't like super into it, but you know, the beginning starts off kind of normal. There's this tension in the house, and then something happens to the daughter. The son is, you know, upset, and there's these weird images of the mom making these models and stuff. And it was interesting, but then pretty soon it just devolves into
all you're doing is wanting me to see it again. Making me want to see it again.
Ant-Man and the Wasp, I thought was terrible. It had a great cast.
Really? I never saw it.
Great cast. I thought the direction was pretty good.
Because Ant-Man was fun.
I loved Ant-Man.
Yeah.
And so I was really looking forward to this one. The script of this movie was so bad.
Oh, that sucks.
You know, when you're watching a movie and you're like, okay, Paul Rudd, you know, everything's going good here.
Yeah.
And
Evangeline Lilly.
yeah, you know, the special effects, you know, blah, blah, blah. But like, what's wrong with this movie? Oh, I get it. The script is terrible. Like the storyline's bad.
That sucks.
The writing was, everything. Now, the last category here is laughably bad.
Oh, okay. So you have a lowest category.
2 movies in this category.
Okay. At least okay.
Sicario, Day of the Soldado.
No way, really? I haven't seen it, so I'm not disagreeing. I just can't believe it sunk so low.
So Sicario 1, I think I gave 9 out of 10.
Yeah, Sicario was amazing.
Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah.
Sicario 2, basically what they did.
Is this not by the same guy?
No.
Oh, I see.
They tried. Well, 1, they tried to direct it similarly, but 2, the script is like completely different tone.
Oh, right.
So essentially, remember First Blood, the movie with Sylvester Stallone? So I actually had someone who, because I posted this list on Facebook, a listener to the podcast or someone on Facebook actually contacted me and said that she worked on First Blood.
No way.
She was like on the crew.
Holy man.
And so we went back and forth about that, and I was like, you know, what's Sylvester Stallone like, and you know, what was all the other guys. What's his name? Anyway, so so with First Blood, you have this pretty good movie about a Vietnam vet who has PTSD. He enters a small town in the Pacific Northwest. These local cops start kind of fucking with him. Things start to escalate.
Yeah.
He goes into the woods. They chase after him. He sets all these traps. People start getting hurt. And then, you know, it culminates in this ending scene where Sylvester Stallone breaks down emotionally and is, you know, for the first time, just really letting out his emotions about the shit that he's been through and about how Americans are treating him like shit.
Right.
And it's small. It just takes place in this little town. There's not a lot of explosions or guns or montages.
The action is great too, but it's not over the top.
Right. So First Blood, I don't think at the time in the 80s they thought it was going to do that well. It did amazing at the box office. It was a huge movie. So of course they have to make a sequel.
Second Blood.
So what they did, it's like, well, what do we do? Well, so often what happens is the studio just, you know, they go to the first people. They're like, would you like to make a sequel? And a lot of times they're like, no, because if I make a sequel, it's going to be shitty compared to the first one. So they just find somebody.
Oh, but they kept the star.
And they keep the star because there's millions of dollars for the star.
Right.
And this new crew comes on and they look at the first movie and they're like, what do I really like about the first movie? I like it when Sylvester Stallone is kicking ass and taking it. So the second, you know, First Blood movie, Rambo 2 or whatever, is completely different in tone.
Right.
It's Rambo as we know Rambo, where Rambo kicks ass and kills hundreds of Vietnamese soldiers. Like somehow Rambo gets called back to Vietnam.
Yeah, right.
For like
somehow
POWs or something.
Yeah.
And it's like it's completely tonally opposite. Like
totally.
in First Blood, the enemy is the government for not supporting these people, is society for not supporting veterans, is podunk police officers, Americans, who don't understand what these vets did for our country.
Right.
That's the enemy. There's no other enemy other than that.
That's right.
In all the other Rambos,
it's those other people.
It's the fucking chinks.
The commies and the chinks.
Let's go get them. You know, America, fuck yeah.
Because the third one is Russia. Remember?
No, but
it's got that. I remember what I remember from the third one was they had the helicopter. I forget the name of it. It's a Russian helicopter that looks super menacing and he has a rocket launcher.
Of course, he has a rocket launcher. So then Sicario comes out, and in this movie,
is what this was.
So when Sicario comes out, it's a similar scenario where you have a movie that is about the drug cartels
Right.
getting a lot of power and violence and getting money and guns and violence into the United States and in Juarez. And you have the CIA working with the military and mercenaries and probably like the vice president or something.
Right.
And how they are breaking international laws.
Right.
And doing these dark missions to eliminate, to deal with the drug infiltration and the violence. And they're actually teaming up with some very nasty characters in Mexico who are just as bad as the cartel people.
So it's like spotlighting the dark side of the war, one of the many dark sides of the war on drugs.
Right. And you have this fish out of water FBI agent played by what's-her-face, Mary Poppins, and anyway, her and Live, Die, Repeat or whatever. Anyway, Emily Blunt. Thank God. So she is the fish out of water who is watching this whole thing, and she in the movie clearly says, or the storyline says, everyone's evil, and she's trying to do the right thing.
Right.
She's looking at the cartels and their violence. That's evil. She's looking at the CIA guys, played by what's his face, Thanos. I just can't remember anyone's
Brolin.
name. Yeah, Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
And she's looking at them and going like, well, you guys are fucked too.
Yeah.
Like you're teaming up with these murderers,
right,
and you're allowing murder to happen. You're breaking laws.
It's a gray movie with subtlety and difficult questions.
Difficult questions. Yep. So they probably went to Denis Villeneuve and said, this movie made a shit ton of money.
Let's do it again.
Let's do it again. And Denny's like, I don't know, but I'm guessing he's like, fuck that shit.
You guys.
How do you make a good sequel?
I'm an artiste.
Yeah, I got better things to do than make
It's like when they probably went to the American Psycho director. It was like, hey, let's make a sequel.
It happens all the time. Happens all the time. So then they get a different crew on, and the different crew looks at the first one and goes like, what's cool about the first one?
Oh my God.
Well, what's cool about the first one is when the Americans are kicking ass. And we'll write a story that looks like the first one and has similar. So the two people you love to see kick ass was the guy in the glasses, right?
Yeah.
And what's his face from Usual Suspects? And episode 8.
Oh, Benicio.
Yeah, Benicio del Toro. When Benicio was kicking ass in Sicario 1, you loved it, right? But it was earned. And also dark, because you're at although you're cheering him on because he's killing bad people, he's killing children and women.
Right. And
you're also like, this is dark.
Yeah,
like I'm cheering for an evil, scary human being.
Right.
And by implication, the CIA, the American government, is collaborating with these people.
Like when he shows up at that one
interrogation. Oh no, at the end when he kills the all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Well, in Sicario 2, they basically take those moments and those characters and they just splatter it against the wall.
Oh my God.
And it happens without it being earned, without any question about it being it's Sicario 2 is basically the thesis is America is good.
America, fuck yeah.
Mexican cartels are bad. Benicio del Toro's character is good.
Right.
And everything, and Josh Brolin's character is...
Oh, do they have Josh Brolin?
Yeah. Josh Brolin's character is a smug, awesome CIA guy who knows lots of things. And there's no fish out of water character.
I see.
And there's some moments in that movie, but I was insulted.
I see.
In the same way that Rambo 2 insulted me. And the other laughably bad movie, which is kind of I think they purposely did this, was The Meg. You know. The Meg,
Jason
Statham.
Yeah. I mean that one.
Right.
Like, come on.
I mean they made that on purpose.
Yeah. It's Lance, or what's it called? The Sharknado.
Sure. It's not that laughable, but it's in that direction. But you could have made a movie like this and made it more interesting. It was. Wait,
what are you saying about mine? About my skills, is it?
I'm just saying, like, you could have taken that premise and still made a silly movie that was fun for the summer, and made it more interesting. Like, honestly, I would say that Jurassic Park Fallen Kingdom was that movie, right? It's a similar silly thing. It's like about dinosaurs. No one really cares. But it was just a little, like the Meg, I'm watching it, I'm just like, the way the Meg seemed to me was that Hollywood and China, the Chinese Hollywood, got together and said, how do we milk the world for as much money as possible? And they're like, okay, well, what do you need?
Oh my God.
Well, Jason Statham is awesome.
Right.
He does well. He does, you got to have a massive creature.
Right.
Godzilla, Jaws, Gremlins. Like you got to have
How about a shark? A big shark? Nah, it's got to be bigger.
Massive shark. It's got to be at an interesting location underwater. And you have to have a whole swath of famous Chinese people, which are actually in the movie.
Okay.
And you combine all those things and special effects.
It's probably made a shit ton of money.
And yeah, it probably did. And like one-liners
Right.
and a setup for sequels.
Wow.
And a low budget, because a lot of the special effects looked bad.
Oh my God.
Anyway. And of course, I didn't want to talk about Roma because I really just don't know where to put it. But anyway. So let's take a break. And we get back, let's sort of wrap this up. What do you say, Berto?
Let's do it.
All right, we're back from the break. If you want to hire me as a consultant, you can do that. You can hire Berto as a consultant too. Email us. Sometimes people will hire me for advice about their practice or their supervision or their life or something. I can't provide therapy, but I can provide consultation and education, specialized education for people. Also, if you're an employer and you're thinking about signing up with ZipRecruiter, if you could go through our link, that would actually give us a pretty big kickback. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/psychology in Seattle and sign up through that page, and then we get a pretty big kickback from that. I always wonder if anyone's ever going to do that, but
I hope they do.
Who knows?
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So what do you call it when that same phenomenon you were describing, where you have this first movie that's inspired, artistic,
You could argue Rocky was like that. Although
totally. But Rocky 2 was still
Rocky
on
2 was
point,
okay.
yeah.
But 3, 4, 5.
Right. But what do you call it when the same director then does a sequel years later where it's as if they had hired a different company?
Like George Lucas?
Like George Lucas, yeah.
So Best Picture of the Year last year, do you remember who won?
Oh, I think I see. I was not right last year. I was right the year before.
We were all upset at who won last year.
So last year wasn't Moonlight?
No, that was 2 years ago.
2 years ago. So I was right about Moonlight.
Okay.
Last year, I remember being upset.
Shape of Water.
Shape of Water! I'm still upset.
I mean, come on.
Oh my God, I'm so bored.
Yeah.
I'm so bored.
I mean, there were so many other movies that could have won. Call Me by Your Name could have won, but I get why it wouldn't. But Get Out was amazing. Phantom Thread.
Get Out was amazing.
Phantom Thread. I mean, I guess
And Mother was not nominated, right? That was snubbed?
that was snubbed from 2 years ago. Yeah.
Oh, from 2 years ago. Okay.
So
I thought it was last year.
So yeah, Shape of Water is just like, come on. I mean, even Dunkirk.
Oh, I love Dunkirk.
Right.
I mean,
And
it's
Lady
not even the
Bird.
same category.
Yeah.
Lady Bird.
So 2 years ago, Moonlight won. So I just think it's interesting because, when we look at our current list right now, we look at, Vice, Stars Born, Roma, Green Book, The Favourite, Bohemian Rhapsody, BlacKkKlansman, Black Panther.
Right.
It's like, it's interesting to look at how things panned out before. So last year, Shape of Water, because it's the most bland movie that everyone can kind of agree on, I guess. Because, Three Billboards was a little bit too controversial. The Post didn't win, which I'm so glad because I thought that movie was mediocre for a Spielberg movie. So 2 years ago, Moonlight won, which was actually kind of a weird one because that went up against La La Land.
Oh, wait, no. La La Land won. Oh, wait, no. It was...
So that one was kind of...
I'm so glad that it won.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. I was so happy that year.
Yeah. 3 years ago, Spotlight won, which was kind of interesting.
I mean, that was a good movie.
Right. But when you look at the other options, you're just like, okay.
Sure.
Big Short, no. Bridge of Spies, no.
Nah.
Brooklyn, maybe. Mad Max Fury Road was in the race.
Which some of the people I know were very upset that it didn't win.
I mean, I would have picked it, but I know no one else would have picked it. The Martian, which I guess I could have seen that one winning. But The Revenant, man, The Revenant.
The Revenant. You're bringing up. You see, you're trigger. You need to say trigger alert, trigger warning.
And Room, by the way. Did you ever see Room?
No.
God, you got to watch that movie. That's an intense movie.
I know.
2014.
Do you remember the whole confusion I had with The Room and Room?
2014 Birdman one, which is great. I thought.
Although that was my second because I preferred the other one.
Whiplash.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also thought Selma could have won as well. But Birdman makes total sense.
But Birdman was a movie that could have won.
Unique, like The Revenant, unique, a tour de force. Yep. It tried to be all one shot.
Yep.
Anyway, 2013, 12 Years a Slave. We could see that one win. Yep. I thought Gravity and Her could have also won.
I did not think Gravity deserved an
But
Oscar.
I thought Her
I would have given it to her, yeah.
I feel like Her needs way more historical significance.
Yeah. It's so underrated.
It's such a great movie.
Underrated and I don't even mean as in like people don't like it enough. I feel like people don't even know that it was there enough.
Yeah. Okay, here's a travesty. 2012, Argo. Remember
that one won?
Yeah.
Over
Django Unchained, Life of Pi, Lincoln, Zero Dark 30, Silver Linings Playbook, Beasts of the Southern Wild, Amour, and Les Miserables. I mean, to me, Life of Pi, which I think won for director that year, was a much better movie. I mean, I thought Argo was fine.
I really enjoyed Argo, but I don't remember how I felt at the time.
But again, Argo, like Shape of Water, makes sense because it's like generally appealing.
But Argo was much more. I did not feel bored with Argo.
No, but it's also not that interesting. Django Unchained was amazing.
Yeah. That should have won.
And Life of Pi was also amazing.
But there was another one you mentioned that I felt was my favorite.
Silver Linings Playbook.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah.
But okay.
2011. This is the worst of all time.
Really?
The Artist. Did you ever see that movie?
The Artist.
The silent movie?
No. Oh, I know what you're talking about.
The French.
But I did not watch that.
So boring.
That was boring?
It was like the talk of the town. The Artist. And
what was it up against?
Well, so that's the thing. It's like, to me, I kind of get why, when you look at what it was up against. The Descendants, which I really liked, but
I like The Descendants.
I get why it didn't win.
Sure.
Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close, which I thought was really good.
Sure.
Which, if I was choosing, that would have been the one that won. The Help with Emma Stone.
I'm surprised that didn't win.
Right, but condescending in a lot of ways.
Again, I didn't watch it, but I heard.
Because, once again, you have a movie about the black oppression, and it centers on a white person. Hugo, which, okay. Midnight in Paris, which...
Sure.
I loved, but I get why it wouldn't win. Moneyball, which... Again,
I really like that.
Yeah.
But, okay.
The Tree of Life...
Oh, which is the one I haven't seen.
...is awful.
Oh, wait.
I thought you did see it.
No. Wait. What's the Aronofsky that you keep saying I should watch?
The Fountain.
Oh. What's the Tree of Life?
Tree of Life was with Brad Pitt. I thought you watched this one. It's Terrence Malick.
Tree of Life.
And it's like fate, like it's Brad Pitt is...
No, I did not watch this.
Brad Pitt is a father in like the 50s or 60s.
No, I did not.
And there's these two kids, and there's like scenes of space and there's voiceover, and
I did not watch this.
I mean, for an art movie, fine, but it was boring. And Warhorse, I think Spielberg made that. So I kind of get it. It's like when you look at what it was up against.
So some years it makes sense, but some years.
The King's Speech won in 2010.
That was a good movie. But it did have some strong competition.
Black Swan.
Oh.
For example. Toy Story 3.
Yeah. Actually, Toy Story 3 was my favorite of the three.
The Social Network.
Yeah.
Inception.
Wait! Okay, we're done. We're done with this conversation.
Right. So, but
Inception is one of my favorite movies of all time.
But look at... So we're seeing a pattern.
Yeah.
The King's Speech is the most appealing to the most amount of people.
Older demographic?
Right. Is another thing, another way to put it. 2009 Hurt Locker won, which makes sense.
That was good.
now that I can talk about my wife, my wife's nephew, my nephew-in-law, is training to be a bombs expert. Yeah.
Wow, that is.
I can't remember the exact term, but
recognition.
I've asked him about how accurate the Hurt Locker is and all this stuff, and he's like, well, it's a good movie, but it's actually really inaccurate because when we discover a bomb, we very rarely put humans in. It's robots, or we just blow it up.
But this is in a war zone, so it might not be as.
No, in war zones. Okay. I mean, IEDs are in war zones. It's not like they happen in the middle of the desert, And so they evacuate everyone out, all civilians out, and then they when in doubt blow it up. You know what I mean? Which totally makes sense. It's like, why would you try to disarm it? 2008 Slumdog Millionaire, which I
love Slumdog.
I thought it was okay.
Oh, I really enjoyed it.
I thought there were some really cheesy scenes in that movie.
But I guess I granted it a lot of context.
But when you think about, again, it's super appealing compared to so this is back when they only allowed 5 movies. The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, Frost Nixon, which was, well, it's good, but it's not like best movie of all time. Milk, which I thought, again.
No, just kidding. Never saw it.
Milk was good. Great movie. I would have picked Milk personally. And The Reader, which I don't remember that movie at all.
Well, I got to say, I really enjoyed it. And, I guess I gave it a lot of extra benefit because when's the last time you saw a movie with an Indian kid?
Absolutely. So that part of it I loved when they're in India and they're running through the slums.
Yeah.
And they have to get in the outhouse.
The music is great.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to watch it again, man.
And even when he's on the game show, that's pretty good. Yeah. But there's this whole other storyline where he's involved with like the mob that I thought to be like really silly.
Oh, you're only making me want to see it again.
2007 No Country for Old Men.
Sure.
Which the Oscars have now redeemed themselves.
Well,
because you could imagine them not picking that movie.
That's true. Okay, so I'll grant that. I guess I got to rewatch it. I thought I really enjoyed that movie, but I thought the ending was like...
amazing?
Was like, botched?
No. So, let me explain. Well, I don't know what you thought was botched. So, the story follows Josh Brolin, his character mainly. There's other characters too. And Josh Brolin's character dies off screen. Yeah. And then the movie just continues. Yeah. It's a very uneventful death of the main character.
Right.
It'd be like if Luke Skywalker goes off screen and then we just hear that he died.
Right.
Well, Coen brothers are geniuses because they it's a message about like the meaninglessness and the grimness. So because that's why the Buster Scruggs thing is so great because the Buster Scruggs shorts, one of the main messages is that life is grim.
Sure. And I can look, that's fine. You can take a poop in a white plate and call it art. But I'm talking about like, does it smell bad? Yeah. Because the last bit,
what?
You're
mixing your metaphors.
I am a proponent for you doing something that's unexpected in your movie. But then the next 20 minutes better still be interesting.
It was interesting. So there's a scene with Woody Harrelson. Thank God. I was going to say Cheers.
Yeah.
But I said...
you actually remembered.
And Indecent Proposal. And Natural Born Killers. Timely references like that. But I said Woody Harrelson. There's a whole intense scene with him. There's an intense scene with Josh Brolin's character's wife, played by the Scottish woman who was in Trainspotting, and is also in Brave. And
there's a 50-minute monologue by the what's it called, the Fugitive,
and Men in Black, which is great, by the way. I mean, I loved it because I think they were actually. It was an homage to a Kurosawa movie, which is one of my favorite directors from the 50s, 60s. I think the movie's called High and Low, where the main character played by Seven Samurai and God damn it. He Mifune, he dies. He's the main character, and then he dies off screen. And then and Kurosawa did that on purpose of just like, I'm in the same way that J.R.R. Tolkien, when he writes his books, there are these mega things that happen that you just hear about. You're just like, and then Gandalf learned that this other thing happened.
I'm glad you're bringing these examples up because those are also botched examples. Yeah. Like that whole ending of the Return of the King.
2006, The Departed, which is one of my favorite movies.
Love that movie.
Yeah, I'm so glad that won. Someone commented on YouTube recently to us, because we must have talked about The Departed, and they were like, so I didn't really like The Departed, and I'm expecting some understandable review. And they're like, because Matt Damon and either Mark Wahlberg or Leo DiCaprio, I got them mixed up and I couldn't tell which character was which. Can you imagine mixing up Mark Wahlberg and Matt Damon?
Oh my gosh, no.
Yeah. 2005, this is a terrible travesty. Crash. Do you remember that movie Crash?
I do, yeah.
That movie was not interesting to me. Brokeback Mountain should have won. That movie is amazing.
That's fair.
Or Munich was another great movie.
Oh, I love Munich.
Yeah. Or Good Night, Good Luck, or Capote, any of those movies. Right. 2004, $1 Million Baby, which I can kind of get, but that was going up against The Aviator. Oh, The Aviator is one of the best movies of all time.
I love that movie.
Or Ray.
It's so good. Actually, you're reminding me. That's another movie I need to rewatch. The Aviator was so good.
2003, Lord of the Rings, Return of the King one, which I guess I see.
I'm glad that they got recognition, but
so I'm just going to rattle off so we can get through these. This is just going back in time. 2002, Chicago.
Yeah.
A Beautiful Mind. Gladiator.
Yeah.
American Beauty.
Yeah.
Shakespeare in Love.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That movie did not deserve it. That was going up against Saving Private Ryan.
Oh, never mind. What?
Yeah.
Okay, look, I enjoyed Shakespeare in Love, but that is the worst so far of what you've... Like, that's the worst travesty.
So here's something interesting. Saving Private Ryan was the same year as A Thin Red Line.
Really?
Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting. But
because they're both like ensemble movies.
I was under the impression that Saving Private Ryan did win.
No. It might have won for Best Director, I'm not sure. 97, Titanic, as we talked about. Yeah. 96, The English Patient. Boring. That went up against Fargo.
So, little background with The English Patient. At the time, I didn't watch it, and I felt guilty for years for not watching it because I felt I had missed out on this amazing movie. Yeah. And then I finally tried watching it, and I couldn't finish it.
Yeah. 95, Braveheart won, which...
Nice.
But up against Apollo 13.
No, Braveheart, absolutely.
No.
For the win. Absolutely.
So get this. Babe, the pig movie, was nominated for best.
That's good. That's cute.
But that's weird, right?
That'll do, pig. That'll do.
94, Forrest Gump won, which is great.
Absolutely.
But get this. This is crazy. It went up against Pulp Fiction and Shawshank Redemption.
Wait, what?
In the same year.
Oh, no.
Forrest Gump,
my God.
Pulp Fiction, Shawshank Redemption.
Okay, my head is exploding. What do I do? Because I was about to say that, no, that's hard. What do I do? My head doesn't know what to do.
Sophie's Choice times 3.
I will say this. Of those three...
Forrest Gump deserved it.
Well, I guess, but for those three, the one that still retains the awesomeness in my mind is Pulp Fiction.
Right.
But it can't win against Forrest Gump.
Right. Forrest Gump is the obvious.
But what about Shawshank Redemption?
So in any other year, if these two movies were alone, without Forrest Gump, or without each other, they would have won.
That's probably one of the most stacked years possible.
Yeah. 93, Schindler's List.
Okay.
Which makes sense. 92, Unforgiven, which is one of my top...
Love that movie.
20 movies of all time.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that won.
So glad. What was it up against?
I don't know.
Okay.
91, Silence of the Lambs.
Yes.
90, Dances with Wolves. But it was against Awakenings and Goodfellas.
Come on, dude. So that's another travesty right there.
89, Driving Miss Daisy won.
I never saw it.
I never did either, but it was up against Born on the 4th of July and Dead Poet Society.
What? Okay, so these are I'm done with the Oscars.
88, Rain Man.
Yeah, that's good.
87, Last Emperor with a young Christian Bale. 86, Platoon.
Great.
85, Out of Africa, which I don't remember. 84,
Amadeus. Do you know what I am doing next weekend, by the way?
Watching all these movies. You got to watch the movies.
No. Do you know what I'm doing next weekend?
What?
They're showing Amadeus with the actual orchestra playing.
Oh.
Yeah.
At where?
At Benaroya, I think.
Wow. 83, Terms of Endearment, which makes sense. 82,
I like that movie.
82, Gandhi, which makes total sense. 81, Chariots of Fire.
Okay, so where do you sit on Chariots of Fire?
Well, when I saw it when I was 10 years old, I loved it.
You did?
But I haven't seen it since then.
So here's my experience with Chariots of Fire. When I was a kid, my older cousins took me to see this movie.
Well, you would have been 7 or something.
Exactly. So imagine a 7-year-old sitting in maybe 8 because Columbia might have been a year later or whatever, right? But imagine, say, a 7 or 8-year-old sitting in a theater trying to watch Chariots of Fire.
Yeah.
First of all, I absolutely fell asleep.
Yeah.
Now, I loved the music.
Yeah.
But because my cousins were raving about it, I walked out of the movie thinking, oh, Chariots of Fire is an amazing movie. If you had quizzed me in that moment, what is it about? I would have said, there's running on the sand.
Right.
And then years later, I'm talking about like in my 20s or something, I am talking to a girlfriend and I'm like, we got to watch. You never saw Chariots of Fire? We got to watch it. We sit down to watch it. And we both fell asleep. And we tried to watch it again and we both fell asleep. And I was like, I don't remember it being this slow and boring.
Yeah. There are so many movies I want to rewatch, you know.
But to be fair, that was over 20 years ago.
Right.
So
1980, Ordinary People.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think makes sense.
Entertaining.
79, Kramer versus Kramer.
Oh, my God. One of my favorite movies of all time.
78, The Deer Hunter, which...
Never seen it.
Makes...
I know.
So,
I should.
No, I don't think you should. So there are certain scenes which you should. There's the Russian roulette scene, which is intense. Christopher Walken and Robert De Niro at their best. But I think The Deer Hunter is there. It's so boring. Like they tried to make it like almost like a documentary at point. There's this whole middle scene at a wedding where Meryl Streep gets married. Someone gets married. And what the looks of it is they actually got like hundreds of extras to act out an entire wedding while they just filmed it from afar and then edited it together.
So this isn't about Vietnam?
It is. So they go to Vietnam and they come home and at home there's sort of like flashbacks and stuff. Okay. But The Deer Hunter, again, there's some scene, and again for the time in 1978, because this is right on the heels of Vietnam.
But when was Apocalypse Now?
A little after that.
Okay, because that's a much better movie, right? No,
I don't think so. They're both a mess in their own ways, in my opinion. I mean, they're important movies. I get that. There are some amazing scenes in both movies, but if I'm just sitting down and I'm going to watch a movie, The Deer Hunter and Apocalypse Now are not two movies that I'm going to be interested in watching.
All right.
77, Annie Hall. Which is
but but that was an upset. That was an upset
to Star Wars.
Oh, okay, right.
Well, yeah.
But wasn't there another one?
Goodbye Girl, Julia, and The Turning Point.
Oh,
I don't know.
Okay.
76, Rocky, which makes sense. So
I love that one.
When I go over all these movies going back, I'm like, you know what? The Oscars, they seem to know what they're doing most of the time. Like there are some actual fuck ups.
Yeah.
But like Gandhi. Platoon, Rain Man, Rocky, Annie Hall, Kramer versus Kramer.
Well, is it that they know what they're doing, or some years the movies are so awesome?
75, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah.
But that was going against Barry Lyndon, Dog Day Afternoon, and Jaws.
I'd still give it to Cuckoo's.
Totally.
Yeah.
But
I love Jaws. Jaws.
Yeah.
In fact, I love Jaws better than Cuckoo's Nest, but I'd still give it to Cuckoo's Nest.
And I find Barry Lyndon to be one of the most boring Kubrick movies ever. I know some people love it. 74, Godfather Part 2. 73, The Sting, which
Yes.
is great. 72, Godfather. So
Yeah.
Godfather and 2.
So, do you love Godfather 2?
I do.
So I need to rewatch it. My experience was I had never seen The Godfather until they re-released it in the theaters in the 90s. Like 97 or something. And my friend Brian was appalled and shocked that I'd never seen it. So he took me and a couple of people from work. Like we all went to go see The Godfather in the big screen. So I actually got to see it for the first time ever in the big screen. Blown away. Loved it. I was like, oh, I didn't know what I was missing. This was so amazing. So then I tried watching The Godfather 2 on VHS. And I was like so confused. And I'm like, what's happening? And I just did not love it. I did not love it.
Godfather 2.
Because it jumps around.
Yeah.
It's slower.
I don't know if it's slower.
I got to watch it again.
I think 2 is better than 1.
Yeah, so everyone I've heard from that is like, wait, you are insane. First of all, that's one of the examples in history where a sequel is better than the original.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
I mean, in today's world, if you watch Godfather or Godfather 2, I can see, especially if you don't really appreciate where it comes from.
But keep in mind, this was in late 90s.
Yeah. You could have just been in a weird mood at the time.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? It's hard to know.
Now,
with me with Roma, for example, I'm fairly sure, given all the evidence that everyone loved it, that something must have been wrong with my viewing stance. Probably. You know what I mean?
Well, what about Fargo? Where do you sit on Fargo?
I love Fargo.
See, so that's a movie where I hated it.
Yeah.
And everyone loves Fargo.
Yeah. Well,
and when I watched it, I found it boring. I found the accents. Oh, that's because everyone was like, it's so hilarious. Listen to their accents.
Well, okay, so let me address that. That's okay. I don't understand that sentiment.
Yeah.
Like there were all these people who were like, it's so funny, the accents and the behavior is so silly. Like certainly the Coen brothers are kind of going for that.
Yeah.
But to me, the love I have of that movie is the characters and the decisions that you see them going through and the realness.
Fair enough. And Frances did an amazing job.
Yeah.
No question.
You know, she meets up with this Asian old friend from high school. I think they go on a date and it's 10, 20 minutes of the movie and it just feels real to me.
Fair enough.
Anyway.
I need to rewatch it. It's been like 20 years since I've seen it.
Yeah, I'd rewatch it.
Maybe it'll be different.
And the TV show, you got it. The first 2 seasons of the TV show are amazing. 71, The French Connection, and 1970, Patton, which I recently
French
rewatched.
Connection, amazing.
And Patton is really good
amazing.
too. Okay, so let's just rattle through and end this fucker. Director Spike Lee for BlacKkKlansman, Pavel Pawlikowski for Cold War. I haven't seen it. Yorgos Lanthimos for Favorite. Alfonso Cuarón for Roma, which won the Golden Globe.
You should get it.
Probably will win. Because that one I can kind of agree with because compared to the other movies.
Yeah, at least give him the director one.
Because it's such a director's movie,
right.
you know, and there's so much directing happening in that movie. And Adam McKay for Vice, which I'm sure won't win. Just looking at the past decade for director, 2017, we had Guillermo del Toro for Shape of Water.
Right.
Won both Best Movie and Best Director.
Unbelievable.
Damien Chazelle for La La Land 2 years ago.
Oh, sorry, I just threw up all over myself.
We have Alejandro Iñárritu for The Revenant.
Yeah.
So that was great.
That was great.
And that the director won, not the movie.
Yeah, that was great that it won.
And then the year before, the same director for Birdman.
Yep, I'm fine with that.
And then 2013, same director as Roma, Alfonso Cuarón for Gravity. And the year before that, Ang Lee for Life of Pi. So even though Life of Pi,
that's fine.
The year before that, Michael Hazanavicius for The Artist. So it went for both.
That's the one that was the silent one.
Yeah. But again, when I look at what it's up against, it didn't, you know. And then the year before that, Tom Hooper for The King's Speech, which, you know, is fine. Darren Aronofsky should have won that.
Absolutely.
That was a director's. Or David Fincher.
I mean, how can you not win a director's Oscar for the Inception movie?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So let's just look over some of the other major categories. So lead actress, we have Yalitza for Roma. We have Glenn Close for The Wife, which won the Golden Globe. We have Olivia Colman for The Favourite. She won the Golden Globe for supporting. So this is really weird. So in The Favourite, Emma Stone is clearly the lead actress in The Favourite.
Okay.
You could even say Rachel Weisz might be another lead in that movie. Mm-hmm. And Olivia Colman is clearly a supporting actress. But for some fucked up reason, the Oscars put Olivia Colman as lead actress, and then as supporting actress, they put Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz.
Wait, what?
I mean, when you watch this movie...
Has this been a scandal? Are people talking about this?
Yeah. I mean, Olivia Colman won the Golden Globe for supporting actress. Do you know what I mean?
That's crazy.
Everyone understands that Olivia Colman is not... But here's the thing. Olivia Colman plays a queen character.
No.
And Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz play characters that are supporting the queen.
It can't be this simplistic.
That's the only thing I can think of.
Oh my God.
It's so dumb.
So stupid.
Yeah. Lady Gaga, Melissa McCarthy. Have you seen Can You Ever Forgive Me?
No.
It's pretty good.
Okay.
Snubbed, I would say Toni Collette of Hereditary. Should have been nominated.
Totally.
I will give that she gave an amazing performance. And Constance Wu for Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah, I could see that.
Lead actor Christian Bale for Vice. He won a Golden Globe for supporting.
He's not the lead.
They're saying he's lead in Vice.
It's called Vice.
Yeah.
He's the vice president.
Bradley Cooper.
Wait, how did he win a supporting?
I haven't seen Vice.
Okay, maybe if you see the movie about Vice, who is the Vice.
Willem Dafoe for At Eternity's Gate, which I plan on watching. I haven't seen. Rami Malek got Golden Globe for the lead for Bohemian Rhapsody.
I'd be fine if he wins.
That's
fine.
fine. And Viggo Mortensen for Green Book, which I haven't seen yet. Snubbed, I would say Ethan Hawke for First Reformed, kind of snubbed.
Okay.
Some say Bradley Cooper should have been nominated as a director, which I think no. And Timothée Chalamet, they say he should have been nominated for Beautiful Boy. I don't agree with that. Supporting actress Amy Adams for Vice, Marina de Tavira for Roma.
So we're not talking about 8th grade on any category.
Yeah. Regina King, Emma Stone, Rachel Weisz. Snubbed, people say Claire Foy should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actress. I disagree with that. I thought Claire Foy, her accent was atrocious in First Man. Supporting actor, Mahershala Ali for Green Book. He won the Golden Globe. Adam Driver for BlacKkKlansman, which he's great, but I wouldn't say he deserves an Oscar.
Yeah.
Sam Elliott for A Star is Born. I have no idea why Sam Elliott was nominated for supporting actor in A Star is Born. He's barely in this movie.
Sam Elliott is also in that movie?
Right.
Not only
and he's his brother.
Oh, I see.
And there's a line where Sam Elliott says, "You stole my voice."
No way.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Richard E. Grant in Can You Ever Forgive Me? I hope he wins.
By the way, have you ever, of course you've seen Tombstone?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and Sam Elliott's in Tombstone.
Yeah.
Do you remember the intro to Tombstone?
I recently rewatched
In the
it.
1800s, the Cowboys were raiding. I always assumed it was Sam Elliott, but it wasn't.
Oh.
It was another legend. His name I now forget, which is ridiculous. But it's
Woody Harrelson.
but he's got right. But he's got that voice. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
He talks like this, like.
Even more. I'm sure your impression is impeccable.
No, it's terrible.
And yet I still can't remember. So that does it for that episode of Psychology in Seattle. Thanks for joining us out there. Please take care of yourself because
you deserve it.